Hey guys, Irene here, and today I'm doing another Photoshop tutorial. I'm going to be showing you guys how to get the kind of painted on look, how to make your pictures look more like a painting, how to still keep the softness and the depth of field, but also keeping it sharp at the same time. I get this question on a daily basis on my Instagram, my Facebook, on my emails, people asking me how I get this very painted on surreal kind of look, and this is everything that I'm about in my photography. I love the very unreal, fantasy like, kind of soft look to my pictures. It is done also with the help of my equipment, my lenses. I shoot at a very low aperture, pretty much the lowest I can get out of my lens and out of my camera. This was shot, for example, with my Sigma 35mm 1.4 lens, and this was shot at the very lowest aperture at 1.4, so it gives you that really nice soft look just around her, and then her face is very sharp. And that's what I love about the Sigma lens. It gives you amazing sharpness, but also gives you an amazing depth of field. But most of it you can also achieve with the help of Photoshop, and I'm gonna show you guys today exactly step by step how I do it and how I achieve this kind of look in all of my pictures. So let's just get started. So the first thing that I'm gonna do, as always, I'm gonna duplicate my layer, and in my actions over here I already have the duplicate layer action, so I'm just gonna press play and it's gonna do it for me. If you guys are wondering about Photoshop actions and how to create them and how to use them, I already made a video on that, and I'll insert the link somewhere over here so you can click on it. I'm gonna go a little bit closer. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna correct like some blemishes and stuff like that a little bit. She doesn't really have many blemishes, but we're just gonna go ahead and if you want to make it look more like a painting, everything has to be flawless, so we're gonna go ahead and do that. I love to correct the skin with the patch tool. It's just right over here. If you don't have it set on patch tool, right click on it and you can choose whatever tool you want to use. A lot of people use like a spot healing brush or like healing brush tool, but I like the patch tool the most. And I'm editing using my Wacom Tablet. I also did a review on this tablet, and I'll link all of these things somewhere in the video. So yeah, let's just get started. The way this patch tool works is pretty much you have to surround the little imperfection area and then you want to hold it and drag it to the side where the area is looking really good. So that's all you pretty much do. You just select it and then drag it to the side. And once you get a hold of it, once you get a hang of it, sorry, this is gonna go so fast and so easy. And this is why I love patch tool. It's just extremely easy to use. So I'm gonna just go ahead and do this to the whole face. Alright, so now we have the face cleaned up, and this is the before and after. It's not that much of a difference, as I said, because she doesn't really have many imperfections, but it's nice to just give it a clean look. So I'm just gonna go ahead and merge those layers together. I like to merge all of my layers. I don't like to keep them all open. I get this question all the time. It's just the way I personally work. If you want to keep all of those layers open, you can definitely do so. Okay, so now that that's done, I'm gonna go ahead and start my highlighting and shadowing technique. Now, I've made quite a few videos about that. I have my video with Photoshop actions and how I made my actions. I have a whole tutorial on highlighting and shadowing. And I also have a tutorial on how to edit portraits, which includes that technique because it's my favorite one. It makes the picture stand out so much. I'm gonna show it again for you guys, and after that I'm just gonna go ahead and just do my thing. So I'm just gonna show it just once, and if you want to see a more detailed tutorial, I'll link that somewhere in the video. So you're gonna go ahead and duplicate your background, duplicate layer, you're gonna press OK. You're gonna go into your image, adjustments, curves, and you're just gonna drag the middle part up, just a little bit up like that. You're just gonna press OK. Now we're gonna go ahead and create our layer mask. You're just gonna press this little button right here, and then you're gonna press Control I, and it's gonna invert the picture back to what it looked like before. And what it did is pretty much just put all of these things, put the lighter picture that you created with curves into a brush. So now if you pick up a brush tool and I always set my brush to a soft rounded brush, hardness at 0, and then you can just manipulate the size to whatever size you want it to be. But so now you can see it will make the picture lighter to whatever you apply your brush. You see that? So this is what I use to highlight. Okay? And we're gonna go ahead and shadow the same way. Duplicate the layer, press OK, image, adjustments, curves, and you're just gonna drag it down to make it darker, like that. Press OK, create a layer mask, Control I, goes back to normal. You're gonna pick up your brush, and now it's gonna shadow there. I don't like using dodge and burn, I just use curves. It's my favorite way, which is soft rounded brush. Just works perfectly. So I just have 2 actions here. I just recorded exactly what I showed you guys. It's a lot easier for me because I use this every day in my editing. So I'm just gonna go ahead and play the highlight action, and I'm just gonna start highlighting. Now I like to use a bigger brush first for my bigger highlight, and then once I do the 3rd and the 4th highlighting round, I like to smaller my brush a lot. So we're gonna start with a fairly big brush, and I'm just gonna highlight whenever she needs it. This is exactly like contouring in makeup. You just want to bring the light parts of her face forward, like the forehead, about her cheekbone, underneath the eye, to brighten up that area. I kind of like it to do it in the triangle shape underneath her eye, like that. Same with the other side. I like to really highlight that cheekbone right there. I'm gonna make it a little bit smaller, and I'm gonna highlight the chin. If you feel like you've highlighted too much, take your eraser brush. I like to put my opacity at like 60, 50, whatever. Make it a lot smaller. Same thing, rounded soft brush. I'm just gonna reduce it a little bit so it's not as highlighted. Sometimes I highlight way too much. I'm gonna pick up the brush again. And if you're not sure where to highlight, it's really easy. You can just follow the natural highlights on the picture that's already there. So whenever you see the lighter parts, like right here, you can just go ahead and highlight it even more. What it does, it just makes the picture a lot more dimensional. But my favorite part is forehead, bridge of the nose, above the cheekbone, under the eye, and I go ahead, highlight the lips and the cupid's bow. That just makes the picture pop so much. Like the cupid's bow, I don't know, it just makes the lips and everything look just so much better. And then you can go ahead and also highlight the eye. I like to highlight just in the iris right there. I like to highlight just underneath a little bit to make it a little bit bigger. It's exactly like putting some lighter pencil on your waterline to make it bigger. And I like to highlight the inner corner. Again, just exactly like what you would do if you put on some makeup. And I do the same to the whole picture. I like to highlight her. I like to highlight the background. I just do it with entire picture, and it takes sometimes a while, but the results are just amazing. Like, I'm just gonna show you here. This, I just highlighted the face, and this is the result. I mean, it just transforms the picture like completely. So I'm just gonna go ahead and highlight whatever rest I need to highlight. I also like to highlight area just around her with the background. Just makes her pop in the whole picture. Whenever you have a slight vignette on the sides, I'm not talking about this like the crazy vignette on the sides, you know, like the old school one, but just a soft gradient when she is lightly surrounded by a lighter color and the corners are slightly darker. It just makes the picture pop so much. I'm just gonna show you guys here the result. Just gonna back it up. See, like, she just stands out right away. And it also makes the picture look a lot more dimensional after I've done that. So I'm gonna merge these layers, and I'm gonna go ahead and do the shadow technique now. So same thing, the first layer of the shadowing that I do, I like to keep my brush a little bit bigger. Same soft rounded brush that I used. I always start with the cheekbones because like that's the area where you always want to shadow. Then I go just around the face. And again, if you're not sure where to do this, just look at the picture itself and see where you see the dark and just make it darker. Let's do it on the neck, the jawline. Let's contour the nose a little bit. Now, you want to be really soft on the nose. You don't want her to look like a little bit crazy because this gets too much really easy. So you really need to be very soft with applying all of these shadow and highlights, because as I said, it really fast can turn into something really crazy looking. So just be patient, do it in a few rounds, and if you feel like you've applied too much, just erase it right away. Now, I like to make the eyes bigger by just applying a lot of shadow underneath the eye. Just makes the eye huge. Same on the other side. And just darkening that eyeshadow that she has a little bit. Now we're gonna do it on the eye as well. Alright, here we go. And then, yeah, the Cupid's bow. Be careful not to make it look like a mustache. Like, I've made it a little bit too much, so now I feel like it does look like a mustache. So I'm just gonna take my eraser and just erase it a little bit. Looks a lot better now. And again, I'm just gonna do this to her whole body. And just whatever I feel like in the background, I'm gonna do the same thing. I also like to put the shadow just around her in general, like just a little bit around her arms, like here, just maybe like just around her dress. Just makes it stand out a lot more because we've lightened the background, so now we want to define her a little bit more, and this helps to define her so much. When you start shadowing after you've done your highlight, you will see how like immediately the picture starts to look more like it's painted on, like it's surreal, like it doesn't look like a picture anymore, it just looks like something really beautiful. And also I'm gonna go ahead and do a little vignette, so I'm gonna make my brush a lot bigger, and I'm just gonna put it on the sides. Just like that. This is before and after the shadowing. So I'm gonna go ahead and merge these layers together. So now after the first layer of highlighting and shadowing, I like to go in with a lot smaller brush and do my highlight and shadow round 2. So pretty much the same thing, but just with a smaller brush to show some more detail, a lot more detail. So I'm gonna go pick up my highlight. I'm gonna press play to run the action. So with her hair, all you want to do is just define some of the hairs a little bit more. And when you use a small brush, I'm gonna make it even smaller. It really stands out, just little hair by hair. And you know, when you're doing this right now, you'll think this is excessive, you're not going to be even able to see this in the picture, and you're totally wrong, because little details make a picture, and they make a picture look exactly like a painting. So if you don't do these steps, these little details, and if you don't pay any attention to details to your pictures, they're not going to look as sharp, they're not going to look as detailed, and they're definitely not going to look more like a picture. They're just going to look like a normal photograph. So I do this, and I mostly apply this whenever the hair is really dark, but like one strand comes off a little bit lighter, like in these places right here, and I just want to make it a lot lighter. So this is the before and after on the hair, and as you can see, it looks a lot more detailed now, and it looks more like a painting to me. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this to the eye. So I'm gonna go pretty close, and I'm just gonna go ahead and define some of the lighter parts of her eye over here, make them stand out a little bit more. And I'm doing all of this with just a small brush. Don't be afraid. Make sure every detail is looking good, okay? Take your time with this, because as I said, like, this may take a while. Sometimes I edit pictures and it will take me like 2 hours to edit just one picture. But you know, in the end, the results are beautiful, so it's definitely worth it. So this is the eye after some details. I'm gonna go work on the lip. And again, you just want to see where it's already light on the lip and just define it a little bit more. Okay, and just as I said before, if you feel like you've done a little bit too much, you can always go ahead and just delete some of that highlight. Like, it's too much highlight here on the Cupid's bow. Was looking a little bit weird. Gonna go ahead and highlight a little bit more in the center. Now I'm keeping it just in like the center. I'm not going like crazy all over everything. You don't want to like over highlight everything. And I'm gonna get the brush smaller, and I'm gonna do the nose bridge again just a little bit more. I think highlighted nose looks very, very beautiful in pictures. Alright, and then if you feel like you can highlight a little bit more on her body, like I'm just gonna highlight the shoulder over here just a little bit more. Alright, so here is the details. Gonna merge it together again, and now I'm gonna go ahead and detail some shadows. Same thing, I'm gonna keep my brush really, really small, and I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm not gonna touch the hair because she has dark hair, and like the shadows won't do much as the highlights did. But if she was blonde, I would definitely go with some darker colors to like shadow the hair, or if she was like a redhead and she had some highlights, could definitely use some shadows there, but not in the dark hair like hers. So I'm gonna go ahead and do some details on the eyes, so keep the size pretty small here. Alright, and I'm gonna shadow a little bit of the dress here. I feel like it definitely could use a little bit of that. Alright, so this is after the shadowing. I think we're gonna stop here. Sometimes I like to go few more rounds on the highlight and shadow, but I think I'm gonna stop right here. I think it's looking pretty good right now. So this is the picture after we've shadowed it. I think it looks really, really beautiful. So now another thing that I do, except for like highlighting and shadowing, is this other technique that I'm going to show you right now to make it look even more like a painting. So you want to just duplicate the layer first, and I'm going to press play for the action, or you can just manually duplicate the layer. I'm going to use this tool right here, like the pipette tool or whatever it's called. I'm going to pick like a lighter hair over here, and whenever you press on it, it just picks up the color that you want. So I'm gonna choose like the lighter one right here. I'm gonna choose the paintbrush. I'm gonna make it a lot smaller, even smaller, and I'm gonna go ahead and just paint some of these hairs that are lighter on the darker parts of the hair right here. So as you can see, it's creating a lot more texture to the hair. And when you actually paint something on the picture, I mean, it's gonna make it look more like a picture, like a painting. So I'm just doing that. I'm gonna make it actually a little bit smaller. I'm just creating these smaller strokes, and it's a lot easier if you use a tablet. I don't know if I would be able to do this as neatly if I was using a mouse. Alright, so after the hair, this is the before and after. As I said, it just gives a lot more detail and just like looks a lot more painted on. I'm gonna work with the eyes a little bit. I'm gonna choose the pipette tool again, and I'm gonna choose this black. I'm gonna get my tool, and I'm gonna create a little bit more of lashes over here. Now again, you have to be very, very careful with these and be very, very subtle, because if you put too much stuff on, then it looks really, really fake. It doesn't look painted on, it just looks weird and fake. So be very careful, very subtle, and do it little bit by, little by little, not all at once. And then you're gonna get that perfect image. So now I'm gonna take the pipette, I'm gonna get this darker color, and I'm gonna do the top lashes a little bit as well, just a few. And if you don't like something that you did, you can just always erase it because we've duplicated the layer. Just go back, and then I'm gonna show you the result. You see it? Her lashes look crazy now. And it looks a lot more painted on. You see the little details? Now what you can also do to make it even more painted on is you can get the pipette tool and sample her skin, and then with the brush you can go ahead and like paint some skin on, like paint to make it look like completely flawless. I do it sometimes, just a little bit, just in a few places, again just to make it look more like a painting, but I don't do it too much. I don't like completely poreless look. I think a little bit of detail on the skin is not too bad. And you can do this technique on whatever else you would like. You can do this in the background, you can do this on the dress, on her hair, anything else. It's all about defining the details. It's all about highlighting and shadowing to make it look more like a picture, in my opinion at least, and this is the result. So I went ahead and played around with some colors, and this is what I came up with. This is going to be the finished image. So this is the image before, and this is after. Before and after. As you can see, it's a pretty dramatic difference, and I think that it definitely looks more like a painting, something surreal, something different. This looks just like a normal picture to me, and with this highlight and shadow technique, you can definitely make your picture stand out so much. I think it's, one of the most amazing things that I've ever discovered in Photoshop. So yeah, I hope you guys liked this tutorial. I hope it was easy. Don't forget to leave your suggestions in the comments down below of what you would like to see next. Subscribe and like and all that stuff so you don't miss the next videos that I make. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!